All right, I think we're on. I'm actually going to pull it up on YouTube myself to make sure that this works. If
What is
you,
your YouTube?
it should be my name, Simple Real Estate Investing. There we go. I see some people jumping on. Hey guys, welcome to our live stream. We're going to be interviewing Joey Stout, talking about how he bought an Airbnb and how he was able to do it with no bank and a really low rate. So that's going to be really exciting to hear from him. I'm just going to kick us off. I hate whenever I jump on a call or on a live stream and they say they start at 5:30 and then they say, let's wait 5 minutes for everyone to get in. It's like penalizing the people that actually follow instructions and get there on time. So we're just going to jump on in. And if they miss it, they miss it. That's on them. But my name is Austin. I got started in real estate in 2019 when my wife and I wanted to buy a house. So we submitted our mortgage application when my wife was pregnant with our third son. And I remember the lender told us that we did not qualify for a loan because they didn't know if my wife was going to go back to work. All right, this is what they told us. So they didn't allow us to get a loan. It was heartbreaking. It absolutely crushed me. But like every good millennial, I went to Google and said, Google, what should I do? And Google told me that in 2019, 11% of all mortgage applications were rejected in America. That's 1.6 million mortgage applications were rejected, denied. 1.6 million families told they couldn't buy a house in 2019. Crazy. And so it started us on this journey to start our business where we're helping 1,000 home renters become homeowners over the next 25 years without using banks. It's kind of our way of like sticking it to the financial institutions because they didn't want to help us. And so we're going to help people buy homes without any bank. And our guest today, Joey, is actually going to share a story how he bought an Airbnb with no banks. And so I just want to take a couple of guesses. You can let me know in the comments or in the chat down below. You're here for a couple of reasons. You're here because you know there's something more to life than the 40 to 60 hour a week grind. You're here because you want to get your time freedom back and spend it on things you're passionate about. You're here because you have a car that you have your eye on. Or you're here because you don't want to buy a rental property at 7% interest. So let's try this really quick before we jump in. This is what I start everyone with is, what do you want your life to look like in 5 years? This heavily influences every decision you make, or it should influence every decision you make when it comes to real estate investing or anything in life, really, is what do you want your life to look like in 5 years, right? We talk about vision all the time, visionaries and integrators, but vision is often, let's say, misunderstood, and there's a lot of ambiguity around vision. It's almost like people just wake up one day and boom, I have a vision. But it doesn't always work that way. Vision is an image. It's literally what you see. That's why they call it vision. And so I know in my life, in 5 years, I want my life to look like this. I'm not working at a W-2 that I don't want to work at. My wife has the option of whether or not she wants to work. My kids are all in school. I want to work at a coffee shop part-time just because I love people. And I want to be working on the school that we want to open centered around passion-based curriculum, not standardized curriculum that we've been stuck in, it feels like, for the last century in our education system. And so that's my vision for the next 5 years. And so every decision that I make is influenced by that vision. If you have a vision or an idea of what you want to do in the next 5 years, put it in the chat. We'd love to see it. And we'd love to see if there's any way I can help you. Here's the thing. By the end of this call, you're going to know enough about creative financing to start turning those dreams into a reality, particularly building a real estate portfolio with low rates and no banks. And so I'm going to bring on our guest today. Here he is, if I can figure it out. Uh-oh, where'd he go? There we go. And boom. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
There we go. There's Joey. Everyone, this is Joey Stout, the man, the myth, the legend who's making things happen over on the East Coast, right?
Yeah, East Coast represent, baby. Come on.
East Coast. I wore this sweater just for you. This is my
Oh,
Dub
nice.
sweater.
I
Just
like
for
it. I got
you.
my next one right over there. So,
Nice. I'm actually December 10th. A buddy of mine just told me today that he has an extra ticket for the Warriors and Boston game here in San Francisco.
ooh,
So we're gonna go watch that game. Big basketball fan, big Warriors fan, but more than that, I'm just a basketball fan. So I'll cheer for anyone. I don't care who's playing. I just love the game. So, Joey, you and I have been messaging each other for a while through
yeah.
Instagram and even Facebook. Um, I actually wasn't able to connect it when we first started messaging each other. I think it was on Instagram, and then I was on Facebook on the Real Estate Rookie group. And I saw you comment or post some things, and I responded, and I never actually connected that you were the same person I was messaging on Facebook or on
Oh,
Instagram
wow.
as on Facebook until honestly until recently, which is funny. Um, but you and I have been messaging for a while, just watching each other, following each other's journeys. Why don't you tell us, man, when did you get started, and where are you now with real estate?
Yeah, sure. So I got started in December 2020. I started like reading things like 5-minute articles on bigger pockets. And I was always interested in taking my investing to the highest level possible. I was a big Warren Buffett fan. I was huge into stocks. And the problem was, I wasn't seeing any return monthly, right? I wasn't seeing any cash flow. And that was a huge issue for me. So, got started just trying to listen to a little bit of the podcast each day. And, it was really hard for me in the beginning. I actually had to force myself to listen because I'm just like, I know nothing. And it was kind of boring, right, at first. But they
Yep,
sold the vision, they sold the vision. And I feel blessed now that I found them and I found you and I found all those people that
love
really
it.
influenced me. So,
So you got jumped in after listening to Bigger Pockets, like many of us have done, right? Many of
yes,
us
sir.
were on YouTube and trying to find a way to find time freedom, really, and try to build wealth. And I did the same thing. I had a bunch of money in stocks, and I tell people this story, um, comparing stocks and real estate. And I hate having to pick one, and so I often don't. But I do say this: in 2020, I woke up one morning and I looked at my news app, and it said that our president made a tweet about China, right? Right, that was the headline. And then I
Right.
proceeded to look at my portfolio, my stock portfolio, and everything started tanking. And this is what I tell people: the difference between real estate and stocks, a big difference for me at least, is stocks can change that quick. A tweet from the president about China changed my stock portfolio in an instant,
I hate that.
right? It's crazy, but you can
Yeah.
tweet whatever you want about real estate. It's going to take a lot longer for that thing to move. It's a lot bigger of a ship that doesn't move as quickly as the stock market. And so I tend to put all of my investments in real estate. I pulled everything from my 401k and dumped it all in real estate, which wasn't much, but I did it anyway. So I love that you said you're able to watch these podcasts and then take action. What was the first actual action step? Right, I hear a lot of newer investors like, oh, I read a new book, uh, and that's good. But what have you actually done? So what
I'll
was
tell
your
you the
first step?
first real action step was actually like telling people I was an investor before I really was per se.
Yep.
And my biggest, and I say this all the time to my mom, she's been the biggest help because we lived in the same community for like 18 years.
Wow.
So when I told her, that's like telling 200 people that live directly in my
Yep.
neighborhood, right? So she was able to send me a Facebook post based on me telling her I'm an investor, right? And the Facebook post was my friend's mom that had said, "Hey, we're thinking about selling our house that we've owned for 30 years. We
Wow.
don't have a loan on it, so that's where the action step. And then I'll say on top of that, a double action step was actually texting the person that was thinking of selling your house, not knowing, what the heck I needed. I didn't know about a pre-approval or anything. I just said, hey, I want to buy your house.
I love it.
So,
I love how
yeah,
honest that answer was. Um, that is too funny. Yeah, I
right.
did the same thing when I started. I started talking to people about it. I started talking as if I was already doing it, even though I wasn't. And honestly, it almost felt like opportunities came to me and conversations were opened because I just started believing in myself. And that's probably the biggest thing you can do if you're watching this live stream. The first thing you can do is like start believing in you, that you have what you need inside of you to actually become this person that you have a vision of becoming. But I know everyone here is ready for all the secret, top secret sauce about
Yeah,
this deal that you've been working on, which is just insane. Um, on Instagram Live, I was just on the live before this, and I was telling them that you and I have probably had an hour of cumulative time between text messages, audio messages on
Mhm.
Instagram, emails, right? We've probably, maybe an hour cumulatively. And you were able to lock up this Airbnb near you for very low rate
Right.
and no bank at all. That's going to potentially gross you over 50,000 next year, and that's conservative.
That is conservative. Yeah.
All right, tell us about this deal, Joey. How did you even find it? That's what everyone wants to know. How do you find these good deals?
Okay, well, I'm at my W-2 because I still have a W-2, sadly. And the janitor one day is rolling by and he's taking everybody's trash. And I just talk to everybody. It's just kind of what I naturally do. And I said, hey, man, what's up? And we got to talking about, business. And then it turned into real estate. And he had said, hey, man, I'm actually deploying soon. I said, oh, wow, how soon are you going? He said, well, I'm not exactly sure, but I'm looking to sell my house. And I
Mm,
said, oh man, do you mind if we look at it? So we pulled it up on a laptop or computer and we're looking at it. And I said, hey, do you mind if I could, take a look, a walkthrough? And he was like, well, man, I already have an agent. I said, no, no, I'm not an agent. I said, I'm an investor. I buy houses, right? And, something I do is offer people passive income when I buy these houses from them. And he was totally into it because he was already a business owner.
love it.
And it was kind of like knowing who the person was because I had the time to build the rapport, from the previous
Right.
conversation, which you said was super important. So we scheduled the walkthrough, and then I show up to fast forward, and we walk through, and I was texting you right before it. I'm like,
Yep.
Austin, what the heck do I do? What's gonna happen? And you're just like, dude, relax. Just
Yep.
focus on building the rapport with the
Yep.
seller. So, we were already friends, and it made it really easy. Was just talking to him, man. I wasn't bringing up, hey, what's that scratch on the wall,
Right.
right?
Yep.
I'm talking about, hey, man, what's that white Hennessy over there?
Yeah, there you go.
Like,
Right. That Hennessy
like,
White. What?
yeah. And talking about tattoos,
Yep.
whatever. And of course, we're walking through the house as we do this, but 2 hours of conversation later, we had seen the whole house, and is this getting too far into it? Let me
This is
know.
great, but I do want to take a pause because,
Sure.
man, you just there's so much there. I think the first thing is like a lot of people are looking for deals without realizing that there's deals all around them, right? You would have never discovered this deal if you didn't just talk with the guy, right? I tell people all the time there's three rules for me in real estate: be kind, be reasonable, and be firm. But the first one is be kind. Just be kind to everyone because you never know
Yes.
what kind of deals are going to come across your path, right? And so even when I go, there's a local Starbucks that's like a mile and a half away from me. I've been going to the same Starbucks for 8 years. I'm kind to every single barista. I know their names. I know what they're going to school for. I know if they have kids. I know their kids' names, what schools they go to. I know what their dreams are. Like, there's a lot to be said about the person who can just be kind to people. And so, if you're on this live stream, I think the first thing, the best place to find leads for potential deals is just in your everyday life. It's you, number one, like Joey said, letting everyone know that this is what you're doing. And then number two, being ready when these deals actually come across your path. If he wasn't ready for that deal, there's no way he would have been in the position he's in now. And so
Right.
I love that you were just able to talk to him. Obviously, you ended up getting there, and I think there's this limiting belief that we don't know what to say, which was what you were telling me. Like, what
Yeah.
kind of questions do I ask? What about the legal documentation? I remember getting those
Yeah.
text messages. You're like, are you sure? Is this the right doc? And my biggest thing for you was, hey, just make sure you're kind to the guy, build rapport, and that's it. That's all you want to do. I'll drop here's just a golden nugget for everyone who's on the live stream. Whether you're cold calling, text blasting, whether you're working directly with agents, no matter what you're doing, the biggest thing for you is to know this: you're not trying to close on your first contact. That is not the point of your first communication with a seller or even in a walkthrough. This is not where personally I don't try to close deals here. What I'm looking for is rapport. I'm looking to find any commonality between us, and I'm just looking to build a relationship. People will do business with those they know, like, and trust. And so at the end of my visit or phone call, I need that person to think I'm like the greatest person on earth, right? At the end of your walkthrough, the goal is, hey, this seller has got to believe in me and like me more than anyone else, because that's going to be what helps finesse kind of the nuances in structuring the deal. So I love that you said that, Joey. Talk to me about what you did say when you got in there and when you're going through the walkthrough. How much of the time did you talk about real estate versus about life?
Sure. So I'm just gonna say, like, be completely honest. When I came in there, it was a long drive, right? So I'm like, hey, can I use your bathroom? It was probably not the best.
That's the
But
number
he
one
was,
opener.
yeah, I think because we were already cool, so
Yep.
I really had to go. And I was like, came out, said, hey man, what's up? I said, nice place. And I think actually a lot of people that go in, or a lot of agents will go ahead and start, trying not to show emotion. But in reality, these people own this place.
Exactly.
They like it. It's theirs,
Yep.
right? So, saying nice place, it's not a bad thing to do in
Yep.
my opinion. So,
Yep.
you know, I did say, hey, nice place. We started talking about how I just said, hey man, how was your day? Right. And from there, I'm not kidding. That was at least like 30 minutes.
Love it.
So yeah, 30 minutes of that. And then, from some other things, we had some commonalities between some work struggles we were talking about. So we were going into that, and it was an hour later. So it's an hour and a half, of
Wow.
life. And then, as we're doing that, we're walking around the house, but I'm not really paying attention
Sure.
because I
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of I've already seen it for the most part. I've seen the pictures. So life was definitely roughly 80% of our time, 85%.
I love that. When did you guys turn the conversation to real estate, and what did that look like?
Yeah. Well, so we're walking around, and he's like, hey, this is a pretty big bedroom. You can make it this. And it was actually cool for him to share his vision of the
Yep.
home because it really helped me. He owns an Airbnb in Florida.
Oh,
So
super cool.
he's like telling me what he does and what the Airbnbs down there do and how I can do that. So it started to shift, and I had seen the whole place, and he said, "Hey, you know, did you have something you wanted to say?" Because I kept trying to go, and I said, "Do you have a second to negotiate for the house? I'd actually really like to buy it." He's like, "Oh yeah, of course." So we sat down on the couch, and I threw my first number out there, which a lot of people say is a no, but he kind of was like, "Hey man, what's your offer?" Right?
Yeah.
So I was like, "Okay, 375." And this house is valued like 450 on
Okay.
Redfin. From my comps, it looks like 440, 430. So, I threw out 375, and those numbers would really be beneficial for me.
Yeah.
And he said, "Can you do 390?" And it was a deal right there. So this is the interesting part. So I grabbed my notebook out of my backpack. I'm like, oh God, I didn't print out, I didn't print out anything. So then I start writing, and he's like, "Man, what are you writing?" And I'm like, "This is gonna be our contract, right?" So
Yes.
this is what I wrote.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, you got the 390 right there.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah,
You
that's
pulled your notebook out and said, "We're not letting this one go. We're gonna
oh
drop the
no, I had to
contract
lock it
right
up.
here."
Right. I had to lock it up, man. And he was like, and that actually made him believe in me too, that I was just like so down, you know.
Yep.
So, and I don't want it to make it seem too simple,
Sure.
because I know some people hate that. So we did talk about the risks of what we were about to do while negotiating. He was like, "So you're gonna, re-explaining what subject to means.
Yep.
You're gonna pay my mortgage. You're gonna send me the money each month, correct?" Yes. Just reaffirming him. And then he's like, "So that's a lot of trust in you, right?" And I said, "Yes." you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
but you are when you're kind to people and build rapport,
Yep.
they do trust you, and it's natural. If you're a trustworthy person, they'll trust you. So
Absolutely. Now, so this is a subject to deal. You said 390 was the total purchase price. Do you mind sharing the rest of the details so whoever's watching can kind of understand how you structured that deal and why you structured it that way?
yes, for sure. So he owed $346,000 to a bank because he took out a loan to buy his house like conventional way,
Yep.
and we agreed on 390. So what happened was there was $44,000 left over, and I said I would give him $10,000 towards his profit. Right? It's not going towards the 346,000 of the loan.
Right.
It's going towards his cut of the profit. Right? So now there's $34,000 left, and I agreed to pay him over 5 years, which is where his passive income comes in. I'm going to pay him something around 600 per month for 5 years, 60 months. And this is the way we structured it. So he technically was holding a second mortgage,
Yep.
and it was at a 0% interest rate.
Love it. So this is a hybrid deal. So you have the mortgage is still in place, right? You're paying that seller's mortgage payment. And then in addition to the mortgage payment, you're going to pay him he's going to finance that remaining equity to you over 5 years,
Right.
right? Now, where does this put you as far as cash flow goes?
So cash flow looks good. However, I've still got to factor some things in. However, it looks like, are you just talking about the dollar amount?
Yeah, yeah. So let's say, give us a ballpark on where his PITI is going to be, and then plus the note that he's carrying for you, and then what's that profit margin going to be when you actually list it as a short-term rental?
Right. So with the conservative numbers, you've got 5,700 coming in each month from the Airbnb. You've got
Jeez.
his you've got his mortgage payment, which is made up of the principal, interest, taxes, insurance.
Yep.
That's 1,930. And then you've got oh dude, let me tell you, the interest rate he's got is 2.3%.
What?
Oh yeah. He refinanced.
You guys, if you're watching this, let's let's put this into context. This is crazy, Joey. So Joey just bought a house that he's going to turn into a short-term rental, Airbnb. While everyone's getting 7% interest rates, you just locked in 2.3% interest?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love I love what you taught me, man.
Come on, creative financing. Let's go. So 2.3% interest. Wow. Okay. And that's for 5 years, right? Um, PITI, let's round up to 2000. The note that he's carrying for you, right? He's financing that remaining equity to you, 0% interest. So it's just a dollar amount at, let's call it $600. So $2,600. You'll be able to gross 5,500 plus per month in this short-term rental, leaving you with a healthy margin
Yes, sir.
of cash flow there. All for Joey. How much time would you say you actually put into this deal? Total
I would
cumulative
say
hours, underwriting, analyzing, on the phone, talking to him at work, you talking to me, getting my ideas and advice. How much total time did you put into this?
I'll say 7.5 hours.
Oh my Lord. 7.5. Guys, listen, 7.5 hours to net what will probably be anywhere from 2,000 to 2,500 a month for a property that Joey only has to put $10,000 into. For 7 hours, would it be worth it to you to learn creative financing? Yes, it would. If
Oh,
it
when
could
you put it
help,
like
like,
that,
come
you know,
on. This is ridiculous. That's wild. So,
that's why real estate's the best.
2.3% interest. Um, Answer me this. I think this is important for everyone to know. Joey, how many courses have you taken in creative financing? How many mentorships have you paid for? This is, we'll get to why it's important, but like, how much have you actually invested specifically into creative financing?
I have not bought any courses. I haven't had a paid mentor. It's all about action, baby. Come on.
Oh, I love it. This is why I started a company called Simple Real Estate Investing, because real estate, it's not easy, but it's simple. There are very specific key guiding principles that you carry with you, and it can get you into the same place that Joey's in, able to lock up a rental for 2.3% interest in today's market when rates are going to increase again in November. Wow. Okay. So you found the deal at work because you were available. You told everyone what you're doing. You started talking to people. You were kind. You didn't really know what to say, but you had an idea.
Right.
Right? You had an idea of, hey, this seller could benefit. He won't have to list his property. He won't have to sit on market. In my market, we're seeing over 50 days now, where it
Wow.
used to be, 10 to 12 days on market, and that thing was sold with multiple offers over ask. Now we're seeing things on market for over 50 days. He wouldn't have to list with an agent who's going to eat at his commission, right? Eat at his profit with their commission. He didn't have to deal with showings. He didn't have to deal with the agent calling him and saying, will the house be available at this time on this day? Can you work your schedule for someone to walk through, right? Is he doing any repairs?
He actually chose to do repair. This guy is really nice. He chose to
Does he
do
have any other
repairs. I told
properties he
him,
wants to sell?
hey, maybe I'll let you know. But he
Jeez.
said, I was in there and I said, look, now you don't have to do anything, right?
Right.
Thinking it'll relieve his stress. He said, man, the way my family does things, I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to
Jeez.
call a cleaning company. He's got a cleaning company in there, man. You
All
know,
right. Go
he's
ahead,
he's a
man.
good guy.
That's a really good guy. That is a solid deal. Now, last question I have for you, Joe, when it pertains to this, um, because we've already talked about how much time you've invested into the deal. We've already talked about how much, as far as finances, you're going to have to invest. We talked about your profit margin. We talked about how you source the deal. Here's my question. What's next?
What's next is furnishing the property since it's going to be an Airbnb.
Love
So
it.
this is even cooler, right? Since I told everybody I do real estate, people tag me in the Airbnb Superhost group,
Very cool.
and they tag me, because I talk about what I'm doing on my social. They tagged me in this post where a lady said, "Hey, My Airbnb is not doing so well. I've got all this furniture. Austin, it's all matching. It's all
Wow.
perfect. So I'm like, I start talking to her, and she only wants $5,000 for the whole lot. I'm talking about
You're furnishing a short-term rental for $5,000 total, brand new. Everything's already matching set.
everything, man. They've got two sets of sheets, two sets of pillowcases.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
This is
Yeah.
wild. And all of this because Joey, even without extensive or vast knowledge of it, you just decided you're going to go for it. You decided this is what my life is going to look like and I've got to take action to see it happen. And so I'm going to start taking steps. And honestly, Joey, I feel like this is the number one hindrance for people when they have an idea of what they want to pursue is the lack of, I would say, the lack of confidence to actually take a step. I hear it a lot. Maybe you've heard it before. Competence leads to confidence. I get that. But how much competence do you need until you start feeling confident? That's where the issue
Right.
lies.
What's the threshold, right?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
do you have to get a degree in it in order for you to feel confident? Or do you just have to believe that your vision and your dream is important enough for you to pursue it?
I think it's the latter. And I'll tell you why, man. Because every single day I wake up and first of all, I always have to decide, am I going to go to the gym? Am I going to be able to see my little brother's game?
Yep.
Am I going to be able to spend time with my grandparents this week?
Yep.
All because I'm having 9 hours of my life. Now, my job pays me,
Right. Of course.
but I'm just saying, like, that, those decisions should not be happening, in my
Yep.
opinion. I want more time with my family, and, this is the way to do it.
I'm with you, man. Yeah, I think there's at some point, you just have to be able to look yourself in the mirror and know that you're making the best decisions for your life. And not even just for this moment, but are these decisions going to help set me up for what I really feel strongly about and passionately about? Now, this is one rental added to your portfolio that's already existing. You already have other properties, but, and it's not like you're quitting your job tomorrow, right?
Right.
You're still working your job, right? So neither of us, I'm still working a job as well. And we're at 18 rentals in Tennessee, Ohio, and here in the Bay Area.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
I have no intention of quitting my job. A lot of people get confused because it's kind of sexy to say I quit my W-2 and I'm investing full time. But if that's not your dream, it's not cool. You've got to be very
Yeah.
clear on what your vision is going to be. You've got to be very clear on what's important to you. And those are the things you pursue. Like, forget what everyone else is doing. I don't care. I'm not into everyone's flex online and on social media. I actually don't care. I think it's great. When I see people win, Joey, I look at it and I say, okay, that means I can do it too.
Oh,
Like,
exactly. That's proof of
that person
concept,
got a,
right?
yeah, they're like, oh, I saw some the other day. Oh, our first commercial retail space, mixed use, retail and office. And I think there's residential on top. And I looked at that and I was like, oh, that's going to be, that's what I'm going to do. Give me a couple of years, give me a year, give me like 6 months. I'll probably end up making it happen. But whenever I see someone win, I'm like, man, I could do that. If they could do it, and it's not a
Oh,
knock
yeah.
on them, but if they can do it, I'm pretty sure I can figure it out too. Right?
Yep.
So let's do this. We've got some questions in the chat that I'll be able to answer before and while this question is up here. Joey, if anyone's watching this and they're interested in creative financing or learning how to source these kinds of deals, what would be your number one piece of advice for them?
I would just say go and join Facebook groups and start building relationships. It's how I met Austin.
Yep.
It's how I met a person that I just had a call with today. It's really important that you build your network up with people that do this around you. And then, like you said earlier in the call, opportunities will come to you.
Yep. Absolutely. Daniel. Oh, what's up, Daniel? He's checking in. He says, how are you converting 11% of offers to deals? So this is based on a conversation I had with Daniel. You can follow him on Instagram. I think it's at Daniel Kong. Anyhow, follow him on Instagram. He's doing great things in Hawaii. He says, how are you converting 11% of offers to deals? So we had a conversation about marketing and conversion rates. And so if you look at your top level wholesalers, um, they're closing about, I think the last time I talked with one of them was about 3% of all contacts they're converting. That means every cold call that goes out, every text message that's sent out, every piece of direct mail that's sent out, they're converting almost 3%. The way that I've shifted my investing strategy, I'm closing 11% of all offers. Literally from first contact, from phone calls, 11%. That's where we're at right now. And so the way that I'm doing it is I'm not going like shotgun blast where I just shoot at everything and see what actually hits. I have a very refined criteria that I'm looking for. And so it's from that movie, The Patriot, with Mel Gibson. I remember it's Mel Gibson and his two sons. And I forget what they are, the redcoats, I think. They're walking down the creek after they had just killed one of his other sons at their plantation house. And Mel Gibson looks at his son and he says, "Do you remember what I told you?" And his son says, "Aim small, miss small. Aim small, miss small." And so my marketing strategy has changed from mass text blasts to I'm looking for specific criteria because I know I'm going to close at a higher percent. And so here's my criteria. I'll just tell you guys because you guys can do the same thing. I'm looking for anything on Redfin. I use Redfin exclusively. I don't use Zillow to find leads. I don't use PropStream. I don't use Batch Leads. I don't use whatever the Drive Deal Machine app is. I use Redfin. I look in the area that I'm investing in, and here's my criteria. On market for more than 45 days with the price reduction in the last 14 days. That's what I'm looking for. If I don't find anything in that criteria, I go on market for more than 30 days, price reduction in the last 7 days. That'll trim down that list a lot. And then what I'll do, because I have a good handle on the market that I'm in, is I'll look at what seems like reasonable comps, depending on how many there are, and I'll click on each listing, right? And so if the average sale price in my area right now is like, I don't know, $675 right now for like a 4 to 1,800 square feet home, right? $675. And so I'll look, and if I see anything for, $580, $600, that's what I look at first. Here's what I'm looking for because I'm specifically working in the niche of creative financing. I'm looking for anyone who's listing their house within the last 3 years of purchasing it. And then I'm looking at the price that they bought it for versus what they're listing it for now. And if I can calculate that their profit margin is going to be anywhere $25,000 or less, then I'm calling them because I can offer them more money. Right? So you have to consider this. If someone lists their house within 2 years of buying it, and let's say their estimated profit margin is $50,000 on a $600,000 house, or let's call it a $500,000 house for easy math. $500,000 list price, their estimated profit margin is $50,000. Out of that $50,000, they have to pay their listing agent, which over here it's common for 2.5%, right? So we'll call that 12.5. So 50,000 minus 12.5 is 37.5. Then they have to pay closing costs most times, which can be anywhere from 1 to 4%. Nobody ever knows because, we just never know. So let's call it, I don't know, $10,000, right? So we went from 37.5 to 27.5, right? Now we're looking for houses that have been on market for longer than 45 days, which means they've had to pay the mortgage at least once, and they're coming up on the second month that they have to pay a mortgage on a vacant house. Out here, an average mortgage is around $3,000. So that's 2 months times 6. Now we're coming down. I think my math should say like anywhere around 21,000 or somewhere around there, 20,000. So now they're at $20,000 profit margin to sell a house. In my mind, you should make a lot more money than that. Here's the kicker. If they're selling it within 2 years of purchasing it, they're going to have to pay capital gains taxes on that $20,000 profit. Capital gains tax can go up to 40%. up to 40% based on their earnings, on what they make and which tax bracket they're in. They could be walking away with $11,000, $12,000 to sell a house. In my mind, it's just not worth it at that point. I think the seller should keep it and rent it out. But here's the thing,
Oh yeah.
everyone's situation's different, right? I've had a seller, I had a seller who moved here from Atlanta for a job. 6 months later, her boss, it was a married couple, her boss told them that they can work 100% remote. So she said, I want to go back to Atlanta. Now, she could rent the house out, but does she really want to be a landlord all the way across the country when she didn't intend to get into it?
Right.
Nope. She'd rather just wash her hands and walk away from it. That's why we're able to convert 11% of our contacts, because our criteria is very specific and we know the exact pain points that we're going after. Hopefully that was helpful. What about you, Joey? What kind of marketing are you doing right now, or you're planning on doing, and what kind of conversion rates are you seeing?
I'll be 100% honest. Most of my stuff is word of mouth, going to yard sales on the weekends.
Love it.
I'm not really, I don't have the systems really to take on a larger number of deals,
Yeah.
but through the networking that I've done through just Facebook groups and stuff, now I'm getting off market deals sent to me. Just knowing other investors, a lot of them are looking to go bigger, so they're
Yep.
selling their duplexes and single family, and that's my niche. So
Love it.
I really I actually have to sit down and really work through my systems and optimize them. That's the next
Yeah.
step for me.
Yeah. And I think you honestly end up discovering what works best for you, right? After you get more exposure to what's available and what you could do. Whenever people start in real estate, there's an idea that we have of what could be, and then we actually start doing it and we get more exposure to what's out there. And a lot of times it shifts, right? It changes, it takes on, different forms. And then we're like, okay, now I got to build a system to actually facilitate that vision. Now that's what I want to go after. I was doing cold callers from the Philippines that would call 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And we would end up, I think they promised 7 leads a day. We would have 35 leads in our funnel
Wow.
a week. Calling. I have a full time job. I'm married. I've got 3 kids. I don't have time to follow up with 35 leads a week. And so we had to build a system. I hated it, honestly, because a lot of them weren't qualified leads. They weren't actual leads. What I've done is I've had to shift because I need a system where I can spend 5 hours max a week and still close 11% of all contacts. And this is the way we've been able to do it. Our strategies and our methods just change depending on where we are in life and what we're going after. So to Daniel, that's how we're doing it, man. That's everything's on market for us. We don't go after anything off market unless it's brought to us. The MLS is the best place to buy things. It's literally where everyone goes to tell the world that they want to sell their house. And so you don't have to convince anyone like a cold caller. All you have to do is persuade them that selling to you is the best option, right? Convincing someone is influencing them to do something that they don't want to do. Persuading someone is influencing someone that your option or your method is the best way for them to do what they've already said they want to do. And so going after on-market leads, I persuade people. I don't have to convince them, which I hated doing. We have a question. I hope I say your name right. Jagadish. Any books that you recommend to learn about creative financing? No books at all. I don't have any, at least. I don't
I
know of
love it.
any. I think Pace is actually coming out with a book. I think is what I heard, was a rumor. So maybe wait for his book. But here's what I can tell you. Number one, go to every meetup you can. Every local meetup, every REIA, REIA, right? Real Estate Investing Association, I think it is. Go to every meetup. Go on meetup.com and look for real estate investors in your area. Go to Facebook groups and search your city real estate investors. and join all those groups. Learn from all the local people you can. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I would call another investor in your area that you met at one of these meetups, and I would ask them if they've done creative deals, and if they have, get all of their referrals. Which attorneys did you use? Which title company did you use? Did you use an agent? Right? Let them feed you all of their referrals. When they give you all of their contacts, you call them all. Here was my exact script. This is so stupid because it's not fancy or anything. Joey, you're going to laugh at this. I would get on the phone with real estate attorneys. I don't know how to talk to an attorney at all. But I would jump on the phone, and this is what I would say. I'm going to act as if you're the attorney. Hey, Joey, my name is Austin. I'm a real estate investor in the Bay Area. I want to be able to buy this house from this seller by taking title but leaving the debt in their name. How do we make that happen?
Yeah, simple, man. Simple.
That's it. That's all I would do. I did it with title companies. I did it with property management companies when I was looking. I live in the Bay Area. I was looking in Cleveland, Ohio to buy rentals. And I would call property. Yeah, solid cash flow, incredible cash flow. Older homes, tenant base not as affluent in certain parts, so it's a little more difficult, but solid cash flow. But I would call these property management companies, literally same thing. Hey, Joey, my name's Austin. I want to buy rentals in the Cleveland market. I have no idea what I'm doing. Can you help me? And they would just literally that verbatim, and they would run through every single neighborhood for me and tell me what to stay away from. Dude, they're the experts. And so I'm going to lean on them because that's what they do. That's their job. Outside of that, here's a good book. This isn't specifically creative financing, but this is a good one. If you're going to be in real estate, just read this book. Good to Great, Jim Collins. It's a classic business book. It'll teach you how to scale, how to grow, how to build the right teams. This is solid. I would show you another one, but I gave it away at my last meetup. I'm trying to look at my bookshelf over there. I don't have. There's nothing really for creative financing. If you want Jagadish, follow Pace Morby on YouTube. Great resource to answer all your questions.
I'll say
resources. Yep.
Could I add in Bigger Pockets episode 527 with Pace Morby?
Oh,
I've listened to that probably 10, 11 times. Just like the first 5 times, I was like, what did he say? Because it's so crazy. It's all about creative financing and subject to just what I did.
Yep.
And you'll really benefit. I could also add How to Invest with No and Low Money Down by Brandon Turner.
Oh, yeah.
That one's pretty good. Gives you like 12 strategies right there. They're not all, creative financing, but it's going to help you.
Yep, exactly. We're going to wrap it up, but before we do, I want to show this. Hopefully you're okay with it, Joey. It's the text messages that you sent me when you were going through everything, because I want people to see how simple this is. So let me pull this up here. All right, here we go.
It's about to get real.
Yeah, this is great. Hopefully they can see. Oh, which way am I? You can't really see it that great, huh? So this one right here, it says going to the seller's house right now to walk and negotiate. I don't know if you remember this. And this is where I told you. I'll read it verbatim. Big thing. Show no emotion toward the house. All emotion is towards building rapport with the seller. And then I don't know if you remember this one. You are Switzerland when it comes to the seller's house.
Oh, yeah.
It's always, I think we might be able to work. I think this can make sense. And that's it. And then I remember it was that night. And you can't see it. I wish you could. Actually, let me see if I can do this. I want to show this on the live stream so people can see that it's not as hard as everyone thinks. There we go. This is the literal text message. Let me add me and Joey. There we go. This is the literal text message right there. 7:22 my time, which was what, 9:22 or 10:22 your time? I think it was
Right. Yep.
10:22.
10:22.
You texted me, I got it. And all I said was, I said, dude, I'm in a board meeting for my job. And then just telling you, man, it's that easy. And then here's you sending that contract.
Oh, yep.
Oh, I love it. But guys, this is it. Real estate is not easy, but it's simple if you follow the steps. And so if you're watching this, remember that vision that you thought of, those dreams that you have. Real estate can help you get there as long as you follow the steps. Any last words for everyone, Joey, before we call it a day?
No, thank you for listening, and I hope you got value out of this. Feel free to DM me and ask me questions. You know, Austin's been so nice asking or answering my questions in the past years, so you know, I'm trying to return the favor. But thank you.
Love it. Right after this, guys, I'm going to jump back on Instagram Live. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to do like a 5-minute wrap up. Joe, if you want to jump on, great. If not, I know it's late over there, so all good. But
I'll hop on, man.
perfect. We'll see you guys on Instagram. We'll do a 5-minute wrap up post show if you guys have any more questions.